Well, everyone, welcome. It's 1:30, so officially time to get started. We have Raj Srivastava with us here today. He said he's playing doctor today at Primary Children's. Raj, if you would just tell us a little bit about your role with Intermountain, and then you can jump into your Be Well moment and throw it back to me for the stretch when you're ready.
Yeah, for sure, Cami. Thanks so much. Really appreciate this opportunity to be with everybody. I think personally having live well moments and focusing on us is really important. And I'll get back to that in a minute as I talk about that. My role is, it's a new role at Intermountain Health, was created or announced on November 1st, and it's Chief Clinical Programs Officer for the system. And what it's doing is taking two areas that have been around at Intermountain for 20 plus years. One is the clinical programs. That is our way of connecting the providers by clinical area. And there are 9 clinical programs. So for example, cardiovascular is one clinical program. You would think cardiovascular really cares about us having live well moments. So that's one of those. And those 9 areas have been historically responsible for spreading evidence-based best practices across the system. And so that's one of the areas that I now oversee or have the privilege of leading out on. And then the other is the Healthcare Delivery Institute. That has been around for a couple of decades as well. And, the Healthcare Delivery Institute really teaches caregivers the tools and skills that they need in order to do daily improvement and improvement at a large scale across our system. And we have a variety of groups that do that together. So the idea is to bring these together to see, hey, we have this kind of amazing worldwide reputation around Intermountain being known for clinical excellence, spreading best practices, getting amazing patient outcomes. And part of that has to do with these two, I'm going to call them jewels in the crown of Intermountain's history. And so now the idea is, can we bring them together? And we've been known for doing that in Utah. Can we bring them together and kind of spread it throughout the organization? Because we're so much larger. So that's the role that I currently have. I'm also a pediatric hospitalist at Primary Children's. Hence I'm wearing this today on service. But really glad to be here, Cami, with you and everybody else talking about Live Well. So maybe, Cami, I'll just start with what that means to me, since you asked about that. Look, I was kind of reflecting on that with my family this morning, and they were reminding me of when I moved here back when my hair was black. I got here a little while ago, and I remember being interviewed for this job at Primary Children's, and people were like, hey, do you ski? Do you bike? Tell me about your outdoorsy nature. And I'm like, I'm a city boy. By the way, I have a disclosure. I'm Canadian by birth, but I grew up in Toronto. So I'm just like, look, Subway, shows, dinner out. I love the city life. And when we moved to Utah, my daughters were 3 and 1. And my wife was juggling her new career, finishing law school. And here I was a doctor at Primary Children's. So we're kind of busy. So people are like, oh my gosh, you are not going to last more than a year here. They were convinced I didn't ski, I didn't bike. We're not from Utah. And so they were like, we give you a year. So here I am on year 23. I think it's worked out so far pretty well. Both our daughters are grown up and live actually in different countries, sadly, so far. We'll see what happens. But one of the things I really appreciated about what does it mean to live well is it's never too late. So I did not ski when I moved here, and I biked like city biking, trying to survive one summer. but that was it. And people here are super serious. Like, I was like, oh, I'll just talk to somebody about biking. And after about like 3 minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I started this conversation, because they're telling me about the ninth bike that they own and how much each costs and all the races they're doing and all this sort of stuff. And I'm just like, well, I haven't actually purchased a bike. I was just kind of like, is there a low-end bike I can do? So, when the kids were a little bit older, I started to get into my own health. I just felt when we moved here, I just didn't have time. I just couldn't imagine doing yoga or exercising or just carving out any time. Felt super overwhelming. But I have this mindset, and my mindset is it's never too late. Is today the day I'm going to start? So fast forward the last 23 years, I skied for about a decade. That's awesome, Carl. Maybe you can show me your bikes. So I skied for a decade downhill. There's something about starting skiing when you're 40, which is not something I would necessarily recommend, but I had a lot of buddies who would come out here and we would all go skiing. We're in this national research network together, and they were, let's take Raj in a double black diamond. Let's ha ha ha. And then at the top, I'm like, I am going to die. Like, it is so clear. Do I just pop up my skis and try to walk down? But I did take lessons and learn. By the way, I also biked to work for 8 years. Probably one of the most pleasurable things I finally figured out was I had a bike, and I figured out the path from my house to primary children's, almost never on the road because the road's actually not that safe. And I was like meandering up there, and I'd get to work, and it was only like 25 minutes, but I was like sweating from top to bottom. But fortunately, there's like a call room around the corner with a shower, so I could shower and go to meetings, and it was fine. I ended up, my family, we lived in part of work, believe it or not. We got to go to Australia for 7 months and live there. The girls are never going to forgive me, or at least they've had these experiences. My wife and I were like so freaking happy. She didn't have to work. The government shut down. She's a federal government employee as a lawyer. And so like nobody got fired that year because she didn't get paid for 6 months. So everybody loved her. And then I was like learning stuff about hospital cost accounting. And I did yoga every morning. I didn't set my alarm. I went to bed at 10 a.m. and I popped up at 6 a.m. and I did yoga every single day. And that, once I did it for 6 months, it kind of stayed with me for a little bit. And so I guess, and then I picked up skiing. In Australia, I wanted to relearn how to ski because when I would breathe, anyways, I had like these problems where I couldn't coordinate. I know it's super simple for everybody on the call, but it was a little complicated for me. I had 8 Aussie instructors, and it was the 8th one who kind of figured out what I was going through in my mind, and they had a breakthrough. Oh my gosh, I've been skiing for like a decade now. Whenever I travel, I try to get a hotel that has a pool so I can actually swim because I just love it. So I guess, and now some people who know me, when I'm on meetings, even with my boss, Dr. JP Vallon, or occasionally Rob Allen, I'm still on my Peloton. I don't do anything like Uber high. I just do the scenic ride. And, I feel like I'm always climbing a hill. So the resistance is at 50. It gets my heart rate up a little more. But I just feel like when I'm in meetings, I'm also trying to take care of myself. And I just wanted to share this with some of you because in my mind, it really is never too late to get started. So even last night, I was exhausted. I didn't close my move ring. I'd seen a bunch of patients. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go to bed. I won't even tell you what time it is because you're going to laugh. But my wife was like, totally, you can if you want, or do you want to go down and watch the show and then you can do your yoga? And I ended up doing yoga. But you know what? I may have had 3 gingerbread cookies last night. So it's not like everything is really good. My daughter flew home last night and she made my favorite dessert, which is a problem because if it's in the house, I'll eat it. But so you can see that I've got a lot of room for improvement. All I would say is for me, I try to give myself the grace of it's never too late. And today I can choose how I want to focus on myself. So with that, Cammie, I'm going to turn it over to you to take us through the stretching.
Thanks so much, Raj, for sharing your wellness journey. It's been quite a journey, it sounds like, and I think your energy is contagious as well. And I love the thought that it really is never too late to improve our overall well-being. So thanks so much. We'll go ahead and move over to the stretch portion today. And Raj, you can keep your camera on, turn it off, whatever you want to do. Okay. So I'm going to adjust my screen and everybody hop up. Let's find some space. Yeah, I see the chat going on about pickleball. Yeah, I've gotten on the pickleball bandwagon too. Okay, so let's take feet maybe a little wider than hip width apart. Just take a big inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, hands come to your thighs. Just do a little hip hinge. And let's do that 2 more times. Reach up. And a hip hinge forward. And 1 more time, reach up. And that hip hinge. Go ahead and stand all the way back up. And let's take arms out in front, fingertips together, round through the back, drop your head, look towards the floor, and then stand up, send your thumbs back, lift your chest, look up. Just big breaths with your movement. Go ahead and just move through that at your own speed. And of course, through all of our movements today, please move with whatever feels safe for you in your own body. Let's do 1 more big breath with this movement. And then go ahead and release the hands. And we're going to take feet narrow hip width apart. We're going to reach hands behind your back, and you're going to grab either your right wrist. So we're going to grab right wrist with left hand or up on your forearm, wherever it feels comfortable, and then just pull down. So we're pulling the right arm down. And then let's take left ear towards the left shoulder. And then do a few chin turns. And now see if you can pull your arm further behind your back and take left ear to left shoulder a little bit more. And then we'll release it, shake the arms out, and then we'll do the other side. So you can grab your wrist, your forearm, wherever feels good. Pull straight down on that left arm, and then take right ear to right shoulder. And we'll do a few head turns. See if this side feels any different than the other side. And then maybe pull the arm behind your back a little further, right ear towards right shoulder. And then release the head up. Go ahead and shake the arms out. We're going to take feet like really wide, and the toes are going to point out just a little bit. And we're just going to go side to side. So hands to the thigh. So toes are pointing out just a touch. Okay, go ahead and pause with hands on your right leg and see how that leg feels. And then take your left foot, turn it forward, and start to straighten out the right leg a little bit. Maybe getting into the hamstring a little bit more. Okay, bend the knee again. Take your left toes, turn them out again, and then we'll switch sides. So pause on this side for just a moment. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. And then take your right toes, point them forward, and then start to straighten out the left leg a little bit. See if it feels different than the other side. And then go ahead and bend the knee and bring yourself all the way back up. We're going to bring feet back in together. All right, let's take our left leg and step it back, and then lift the right toes. Hands can come onto the left thigh for support. And then we're going to windshield wiper that front leg. So toes moving side to side. Nice and slow. And then as you shift your weight forward, just reach the arms up. Push up off the back toes. And then release the arms, and we're going to switch up our feet. So now right leg back, left leg forward. Use your hands to support you as you sit back. Hands on the right thigh. And then we're going to windshield wiper that front leg with the toes up. And then shifting the weight forward, reach your arms up. Push up off the back toes. And then release the arms. Let's step the feet together and just do a few reverse shoulder rolls. And then some forward shoulder rolls. And you guys are all done. Thanks so much for joining today.